we're pretty much doing the same thing if we go and see it's not just a collection of raw material. Because for us to live and die because we've got so much raw material at our beck and call is a pretty weak reason to live and die. You know, you've collected enough or you've minimized your impact on enough. There's a bigger reason out there. It's the poetic versus mimetic view. You're trying to mimic those societies that lasted and continue to last, and looking further into that particular instruction.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing. Like I'm questioning myself right now, like why I'm living, you know? Do I have a music that I want to produce, or what's the big picture? That's so. I want to ask you, David. Like, did you take those lessons and you apply to your life as well?
Well, that's one of the reasons for the book is to
Uh,
do that. At the
uh,
beginning of each chapter in the book, you'll see a certain short story about things that have happened in my own existence, where
oh,
I had to bring to the table, the handling of stress or work or communication, and how those kind of refocused my own experiences to go forward. For example, Brew, I have a son. He's now in his teen years, but when he was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with childhood leukemia. And if you're familiar with childhood leukemia, um, it's or it used to be in the past a death sentence up until about the 1960s. Anybody diagnosed with childhood leukemia, uh, about only 5 to 10% lived. Most passed. My son was in that situation. My wife and I were shocked. We were at the hospital with a doctor who said, yes, your child is going to begin a series of chemotherapy that's going to last 3 to 4 years. And 3 to 4 years, he will be bald. He will have an extremely low immune system. And as the doctor was looking at us, the doctor said, how are you doing with this? And of course, we said, well, how are we doing with this? I mean, it's our son who's got leukemia. Our concern has got to be secondary to his. And the doctor, with the social worker, said, no, you've got to look at who you are through this, because most of the parents whose children go through this event for the next 3 to 4 years, the parade to and back and forth from the hospital, um, most of them, about 60%, are going to get divorced and 70% are going to go bankrupt.
what?
Your, yeah, your entire future is going to be destroyed because of this. And my wife and I kind of locked arms. We sold everything that we thought was purchased on credit or something like that, and started to go through this very, very slowly, communicating, maintaining a balance through this effort. Um, and that's kind of an experience I had to do about, are we going to sustain our marriage? Are we going to sustain our family? Or is this entire thing going to just explode on us because of our unwillingness to really confront the situation we now have? And I can tell you that my son did make it through. Uh, he took about 4.5 years of treatment, but he did survive, and he's now 19 years old. So, anyway, that's what I do. I'm weaving some of these things in that happen in my own life that make me look like you just mentioned, Brew. What do I really want to sustain? What do I really, and why am I really here? Back to Viktor Frankl. Is the person, or is there a larger story here? Let me explore those aspects.
Wow, that's wonderful. And it just brings like a sense of self-awareness to like yourself. You understand yourself better. Like I know from psychology, the more like let's take a trauma, for example, or like a very deep issue that you have, like you might be, for example, you might have a lot of anxiety or might be aggressive, and those are all related to your trauma, but you don't know about it, you're just acting it out like unconsciously. And the thing is, I know from psychology and therapy, like the more you understand the trauma and those deep seat issues, um just the fact you understand them, like it releases you from whatever effects they're causing. It gives you control basically over
Right.
your life. And what we were talking about, like about finding sustainability and meaning, I would assume does the same. Brings control, and gives you gives you some sort of control over your own life and over your own destiny. That's beautiful. I think more everyone needs to seek that. And I don't think, like, I don't want to talk about people, but I feel like in general most people just don't think very deeply about it. I would say, like, they know they are lost, not everyone, but and they just don't know what to do, and this is like a step.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what it is. It's just a step to say, let's look a little differently than our normal Western approach to say this is just a bunch of raw materials. No, there's something deeper here. There's something deeper in it that we need to look at than that. And I guess it starts to put flesh on the bones of what we're trying to understand for sustainability.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Like, I had no idea we were going this direction, but I'm loving it. um all right, so we touched the honeybee and locust story. We also touched on the search for meaning, the man searching for meaning story. Do you have more story? I want more stories.
Well, let's see. Let's talk about the interesting stories about let's see, making decisions.
Make decisions.
That's a good part. Yeah, making decisions within the desert locust and the honeybee community. Within the desert locust, there's really not a leader.
Really?
They're yeah, they march forward almost as if they're an army, and they fly in the same situation. Their increase in their brain size actually gives them some interesting abilities to navigate and not run into each other. That particular effort, though, allows there to be a movement forward through that. Now, from a human standpoint, we see a certain